Welcome to Money Making Conversations. I am your host, Rashawn McDonald. It's important to understand that everybody travels a different path to success. That's because your brand is different and the challenges you face in your life is different. And I always recommend to people, stop reading other people's success stories and you need to start writing your own. Now, you can be motivated by their success because their stories can offer direction and help you reach your goals through your planning and your effort. The guests I bring on Money Making Conversations enable me to tell that story better. And one of my next guests is one of my favorites, Sheila Eldridge. She's the CEO of Miles Ahead Entertainment and Broadcasting and founder of the Mocha podcast network. She is an HBCU graduate of Howard University, something I never knew about it, from the prestigious School of Communications. Her Miles Ahead Entertainment and Broadcasting is a certified multicultural marketing and public relations firm that provides consumer lifestyle marketing, event management, sponsor engagement, as well as integrated broadcast media campaigns for clients like Ford, Boost Mobile, Toyota America, AARP, and Essence Communications, just to name a few. She syndicates the highly successful Café Mocha radio show, the Café Mocha To Go digital show, and the Streaming Sloot Awards series. I call her the Queen of Syndication and busy. Please welcome to Money Making Conversations, Sheila Eldritch. Was that enough, Sheila?
How are you? How are you?
Good. Did I say enough about you? How's everything going?
Everything's going well. Just busy, but look, in this day and time, it's a blessing to be busy.
Well, I never knew you were a graduate of Howard University School of Communications. And in 2020, HBCUs suddenly became a hot topic for corporate donations. Why do you think that happened in 2020 like that?
I think it's always been that way. It's just that it became more known that there were more alumni that were hailing from, more popular alumni that were hailing from HBCUs. But I've always believed that part of your life's experience as an African American is to attend an HBCU. The best years of my life were at Howard University. And I was in the School of Communications, kind of the first couple of years of the School of Communications. So, and the relationships that I built and that you build at an HBCU just last a lifetime. My first client was as a result of my roommate at Howard University. So, the relationships and the experience just really kind of craft, I think, who you are, as an African American in America.
Well, I'm a big fan of HBCUs, and I see, you being a voice of an HBCU is powerful. And, of course, one of your alumni is going to be the next vice president of the United States. How do you feel about that? She's a female, too. She's a female.
It is a coming evolution. It's such a great feeling to know that we, number one, have an African-American female that will be a vice president. But the fact that she came from an HBCU, I think is going to be great for universities across all the HBCUs, not just HU and Howard, but all of the universities, because it puts a spotlight on the education that is comparable with your Ivy League schools. And what we have from HBCUs is that endearing kind of long relationships of the sororities and the fraternities. And I think it's a real powerful moment for anyone that attended an HBCU, and specifically, for women, so.
Wow. Well, we always talk about your life. Let's go back to the roots of our relationship. Café Mocha Radio, it's in over 40 markets, it's on Sirius XM. What is the future of that show? I know Lonnie Love is the cornerstone. You have Yo-Yo and Angelique. Tell us everybody about the Café Mocha Radio platform for women of color only.
Yes. Well, when we started, and thanks to you, one of the first big TV shows that we did and big events that we did was the Hoodie Awards. And we were so excited because we felt like that was in our second year. We just celebrated 10 years, by the way. And you gave us that opportunity to kind of put us in the spotlight. When I came up with the concept for Café Mocha, I did not want it to be named after any one woman. It was about women coming together to empower one another. And it really became as a result of watching a lot of what we were seeing on TV at the time with some of the reality shows that I just felt did not really depict the full scope of who we are, African American women. So I decided, let's put together a show that represents us, that we can all work together to inspire one another, and the stories of the women on the show, and that the women that we honor along the way in this 10 years will hopefully inspire other women. And that's really how the show came about. We just celebrated 10 years. We got Lonnie Love, who is on the wheel. And Lonnie is unique in that she's such a well-read comedian. So she can go from having topical conversations to giving you that aha moment and making you feel good. And then we have Yo-Yo, who's our round the way girl, who represents all the sisters that have been there and are going through it and have made it through. And she represents the West Coast, of course. And then we have Angelique Perrin, who is an amazing producer and voiceover character artist. She just brings the show to life. I mean, I'm blessed in that, to have a concept and then be able to bond with 3 women that really bring that concept alive. That's not easy. And so I feel very blessed to, have that, and for us to have been together for 10 years. So, and where are we going from here? Well, quite honestly, we'd like to take the concept to television or streaming. So that's kind of where we're headed. So that's where we're looking to navigate, and especially now, given the streaming platform has come so full circle, with the pandemic, that's really kind of where we're headed. And, we feel like with the Mocha Podcast Network and then our syndication, we can offer a full range for our listeners and for our advertisers.
Yeah, before we get to the podcast network, I want to talk about the Sloot Awards, because you and I were talking last year, 2020, about producing some of these live, because before the pandemic hit. And then also we kept pushing dates. We realized the pandemic's not going anywhere, and the ability to do live events are going to go away. And so now you have the Sloot Awards. They're virtual, I'm assuming now. You have 3 of them coming up, correct?
Yes, we have the Sloot Awards. They are virtual. We have I can't believe this is happening.
There you go. They got it.
No. Okay. So what we have coming up is the Salute Her. Salute Her Awards is where we honor women, because Café Mocha is called Radio from a Woman's Perspective. So we want to put the spotlight on women, from celebrities to women who you don't know, all working in service to support the community. So that's the Salute Her Awards. And that's coming up. The next one is for Women's History Month in March. And
March 21st.
In March 16th. And then in June, we're going to go back to Salute Them, and we're going to celebrate Black music. And so we will do Salute Them. One of the things that came about, and this is thanks to someone that we know, Rashawn McDonald, is that we needed to do more to honor the full spectrum of our community. And we didn't want to alienate men. And so as a result, we decided that if we did Salute Them, then we are honoring women, men, and organizations that all have a common goal of serving the community. And so the Salute Them Awards will be in June, and then we go back in September, where we do it in conjunction with the Congressional Black Caucus, and that will be the Salute Her Award. So we kind of go back and forth, but the common denominator is that we are saluting and paying tribute to people, organizations that are making a difference in our culture and in our community.
I know you do a lot of marketing and event production for the Essence platform, in particular Essence Festival, I apologize. Last year was canceled. Actually, it was pushed a little bit, and then they realized that because of the pandemic, we should avoid it altogether. Any word yet has been announced that it's going to come back in New Orleans in the summertime or during the 4th of July weekend, or that's still on hold?
That's still on hold. I think a lot is going to be determined based on the first quarter, Q1 of this year, and how New Orleans and how Louisiana develops. But right now, I would venture to say it will probably be virtual again. But let's hope not. But to bring back, it grown to 500,000 people. That's a lot.
Absolutely. And then on that multi-day event on 4th of July, it was like a rite of passage a lot of times. I know you go down there, girl, you been to Essence? Come on down, let's go. True Black experience. And a lot of people don't know, it had a diverse draw as well. It wasn't always 100% African Americans that attended the Essence Festival. It was really diverse in a lot of ways.
Right.
Is that you again, Miss?
I'm going to do something.
Go and give up, girl. Good. Okay. Let's talk about the whole virtual versus live event experience, because that's a different sale. That's a different approach. You can't count people. And actually, in some ways, when you go virtual, it becomes an international event because it's not really tied to that particular market or that particular city that you're doing the event. And we're just talking about people who listen to the show. This is Money Making Conversation. What are some of the hoops you've had to jump or some of the changes you had to do to your platform to encourage advertisers to experience the virtual platform versus the traditional live event platforms?
I have to tell you that I am really surprised and happy that corporations have started to pivot, with the production. Because we do events. And I was really concerned that some of our sponsors, had a concern about going virtual, but they see the value now of reaching like far more people. Your social media, your digital, all your promotions. For them, it's broadening their brand, and it's even better than the actual events, the actual in-person events, because my plan is to go back to in-person events in 2022, if we can do that. But my sponsors like the virtual experience and are saying, maybe you should stay in this space and really grow this space. And so that's what we're looking to do. We might, we'll probably go back and do some in-person events, but I have to tell you that this virtual space is very intriguing because ultimately, like I said, my goal is to go to television or to go to more, some of the streaming services. And this has kind of escalated that process into moving in that area. So you got to have a great production team. I'm learning production very fast, and a good editor, and concepts and great writers. Well, you know that. I mean, you've been doing this. You were ahead of the game on all of this. So, but we're all catching up. But yes, I like this virtual space.
Well, I love it because, like I said, if you do an event in Atlanta in a venue, if it's 1,000 people or 2,000 people that attended the event, that's all who saw it. That's all who saw it. Where now, when you go virtual, my whole thing, because I was doing it with the neighborhood, I was streaming live and do the live event. So I'm saying do both. Because you don't want to lose that international growth. It's fun to see the people in Australia or Spain or South Africa or the Caribbean watching your brand grow, and it has a big plus there. So I would say keep both, keep growing your brand because you are an international brand, and you only benefit by being bigger.
I'm surprised at the people that are responding to us from other countries, especially in Africa, which is very interesting,
And Ireland loves you too, by the way. Just let you know that.
Okay.
Let's talk about my favorite. I've been waiting to talk about this because I want to talk about each one of these shows. I hope you know them all because I want to talk about every last one. Your podcast. Your podcast. Because it has so many names on here and people that I know. But let's start with this one that really caught my eye. The two funny mamas hosted by Sherry Shepherd and Kim Whitley. Two of my favorite people. I know they were doing it on the Tom Joyner show before he ended his syndication. So you just snapped them up, huh?
Yes. Well, they had started, doing the podcast. And they really needed, well, first, what I found is that most people that have podcasts haven't figured out how to monetize it, number one, and number two, how to really, put it into a business and really develop it. And so for Sherry and for Kim, who were, very busy with their other careers and everything, what we did was help them kind of put a structure to it. and it has done extremely well. And that's just an extension of, they say, well, black women can't always work together, can't have too many women,
Right.
but I don't subscribe to that, because all the women that I've worked with, we just make it work. We kind of fit in with what we have to do to make it work. And so they wanted to join the podcast network as one of the lead podcasters, and it's been great. I mean, it's been a great experience. We started out, we've already got sponsors on board, and and they're excited and everything. So yes, those ladies, and it's a funny podcast, but it's life. It's about, the podcast network is really a lifestyle network for women of color. And they bring that to it, given their children and their careers and everything.
Yeah. Both of them are single moms. That's that, and we know the population of single moms unfortunately seems to be growing every year, and they're looking for guidance. They're looking to be entertained. So it sells itself there. But Kim is amazingly funny, and I've known her all the way back to my parenthood sitcom writing days. Same thing with Sherry Shepherd. I met her when I was doing Jamie Foxx as a co-executive producer of that show. But the podcast, Mocha Podcast Network, is a platform bringing authentic voices and perspective of multicultural talent, including entertainers, which you just said, Shepherd and Sherry Shepherd and Kim Whitley, journalists, experts with the following shows. Now, I'm assuming that the Funky Divas podcast hosted by En Vogue. Now, which En Vogue members do you have?
Okay. We have Terry Ellis.
My girl.
Who HBCU, by the way.
Absolutely.
And Kim was HBCU too. And then we have Cindy Herron Braggs, and then we have Rona Bennett. And you might know Rona from the Jamie Foxx show. Rona was on the Jamie Foxx show. Mm-hmm. And so they've been a trio. A lot of people don't know, but they've been a trio for almost 17 years.
Wow.
Is the newest member, but they're celebrating their 30th. Last year they celebrated their 30th anniversary. And the idea for the podcast, I went to them and said, look, you need to tell your story, to stay together for 30 years. And we know they've been through some changes. They've been through some, experiences. You need to tell your story, because other people need to hear that, and your fans need to hear that, and other young groups need to hear that, and other females need to hear how you all kind of stayed in here and gotten through this. And so that's really what the podcast is about. It was a celebration of their 30th anniversary, and it was so well received that, it's just now taken off. They'll be doing we've been doing it once a month. Now we're doing it every 2 weeks, and just, and they're really getting into it, and they're speaking from their perspective, and very honestly from their perspective. So yeah, we call it the Funky Divas, because that's what En Vogue is known for, is the Funky Divas.
Well, I like it because when you start talking about singing group, female singing groups, it's the Supremes to me, it's En Vogue, and then it's Destiny's Child. Those are the three, that to me are legendary, that resonate. And so to have their voices not being silent. And that's what this podcast is all about, giving authentic voices. That's what you're just talking about. People who are talking from a point of reference can give career advice, give advice about the lows of success when it does not happen, and when you're at the peak of the game. But more important is the longevity. 30 years, that's a long time. And I know those people. So you got a lot of HBCU people. I forget that Lonnie Love is a Prairie View A&M HBCU people. I think Kim Whitley's from Fisk.
Kim is Fisk.
Yes, Tennessee. I got it down, Pat. I tell you, I know all these people you got on your show, which I love. Now let's go back to my girl, the Vegan Sexy Cool podcast hosted by Jackie Reed. How did you get Jackie on the radio in the podcast world?
I did not realize that there were so many African Americans and Black folks that are vegan.
Yes.
And when I talked to Jackie, and she told me kind of how she came up with the idea, she lost a dog. Her dog passed. And I think what she realized is how important it is what you feed and what you put in your body. And she said that she just kind of went on that journey of veganism, and now she's in it. And I'm surprised. She gave me a recipe for some greens that had no meat at all. And when I tell you, those greens were good. So she has her podcast, and we're excited about that. And we're going to be doing she's going to be doing a series of panel discussions with African Americans, in addition. that are celebrities that are vegans, and understanding that it's a difference between a vegetarian and a vegan. I didn't realize that. So it's exciting. Of course, Jackie is, just a journalist, a great journalist. So she brings a lot of new information, to the podcast.
Now, one of my favorite people you have is Bershan Shaw. Superpower, my girl. Tell me how that relationship was created, because I interviewed her recently on Money Making Conversations. She's an inspiration to me personally, and to have her on her show motivating people and tell them there is a tomorrow when people tell you there might not be a tomorrow. I think, to me, what she represents on your network is amazing. Talk about that relationship.
Yeah, she came, actually, I didn't really know her. I knew of her. One of our affiliates, WBLS in New York, he told her, you need to connect with Sheila Eldridge. And he told me we needed to connect. And she and I just connected. And it was like we had known one another for years, And that's kind of how we connected, was through one of my radio affiliates. And she's amazing. I mean, she's a doer. I mean, she just goes and gets it done. And she can just inspire people. So she's very, very, she's very special. So,
she's a cancer survivor, and she's a superwoman, 4 times cancer survivor. And so when somebody's delivered that information to you that many times, and you still as upbeat as she is, and still forward thinking as she is, that podcast is a definitely listen to, because it's not about the fact that she's a cancer survivor. She's letting you know that when people give you dramatic messages or information that you feel may not allow you to have the life that you want to have, what do you do? And her message is keep going, keep planning, keep living your dreams, and keep accelerating to the next page of success. That's what I love. And I love the diversity of it. When I'm looking at, you got a vegan host, you got Miss Shaw, and then Dia Direct. I haven't heard Dia. Is she still based out of Dallas?
Yep, she's still based out of Dallas. Yeah. And she's dealing with mental health. She's dealing with relationships, and mental health and menopause. Okay. She said, "Can I talk?" I said, "Yes." This network is a lifestyle network, and there are a lot of women going through menopause. So we need to have a conversation, definitely. So, Dia, she is very direct.
Yes.
And we're excited, with her podcast. But you're right. The goal is that all the podcasters have been curated. So our philosophy is it's more quality versus quantity on the network, and that you can come to this network in a week and listen to the different podcasts and you get some laughter. I mean, whenever a person hears the word cancer, you're nervous, so Sean, you can listen, and then it help you through that. And then if you're going through relationships, and then if you're not sure I want people to be able to come and listen to the different podcasts and be able to have a nice full experience and leave, saying, okay, I'm good. I've got inspired. I can make it, and I'll be back next week. That's really the purpose of what we're trying to do.
I'm going to tell you something. Sheila, I'm a big fan. I'm one of your top fans in this business. I always tell you, you're amazing.
You're one of my mentors. That's for sure.
I love you to death.
You all are real mentors, and you all have been so straight with me, and honest with me,
Because you're unique talent. When I look at all this, I'm talking about these are careers, because you have iHeart, you have a lot of podcast platforms out there. And it's a very competitive medium, and these people are trusting your brand. That's why I've always told you that, you're special from a standpoint. You've created a voice, a channel, and then to build this out like this seems like the sky is unlimited for you in this podcast of genre, especially when you're talking about women of color who need a voice. Sometimes you don't get that on local radio anymore. You definitely don't get it on streaming platforms and things like that. So what lanes? I forgot my girl, Rolanda Watts. How could I forget Rolanda Watts?
I don't know.
That is one of my favorite people. I can't believe. I'm so happy you got on this platform, Rolanda Watts.
Yeah, she's something. She's another one that I've known for a long time from her TV show and just her acting and things that she's done. And so when I approached her, I was like, well, look, it can't hurt to ask. Okay.
Right, right.
I was really, she said, I like this. I can see what you're trying to, yes, I want to be on this platform. Yes, I like this. And so she came on board. And I was nervous, because when I went to these women, like you said, it's pretty competitive out there. But that's the reason why we're niche. I'm about empowering women. I like being in the background. I like startups and growing businesses and growing platforms, and empowering women. That's our platform. And so I just stay with what we do and who we are, in our lane, and we just keep driving through. And we have a nice group of advertisers now that we've developed over the last 10 years that they're with us. They've seen the results and they take the chance with us. And so that's what's unique about this network too, is that we're starting out with advertisers that are supporting as well by virtue of the relationship that we've had in syndication for the last 10 years. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, Rolanda was just like, I'm on it. So now you can see how it's a nice rounded out group.
It's awesome. Like I said, I looked up and go, I can't believe I forgot Rolanda Watts. That is, like I said, all these people I love. Miss Shaw, Dia Direct, Jackie Reed. You got my boy, The Be Lifted with Alfred Edwin and DC Marshall. Rolanda Watts, who one of my dearest friends, In Vogue. That, oh my goodness. Sherry Shepard, Kim Whitley. And then you got the traditional Café Mocha Radio is also on your podcast platform with London Love, Yo-Yo, and Angelique, correct?
Correct. Because it's so much, with radio, with terrestrial radio, the breaks have to be so short, and there's so much that gets cut. And that's great conversation that can go into the podcast. So we say what you don't hear on the radio, you can go to the podcast and get the backstory.
I love it. Now, before I go, I want to talk about this Café Mocha virtual digital series. What exactly? That's the first time I've heard that. I always try to be in the loop with you, and now you create a little digital series of the Café Mocha to the Go, Salute Her, Soul Sessions, and Chic Boutique. What exactly is all that?
Well, because with the whole pandemic, I found that more people obviously were on the platforms, Facebook and all social media platforms. And, the talent for the radio show is talent that they have other, TV and careers. And so they stay true to the radio show. But what we decided to do is to take topical conversations and have a host that's been a long host with us as an ambassador, Vanessa James. A lot of people don't know she's out of Miami and social media ambassador. She's been with us for a while. And let Vanessa host it's a little 10-minute segment show that's on Facebook called Café Mocha to Go. And it's what's trending, it's what people are talking about. It might be, certain subjects. We did a lot, obviously, when, the voting season. And it's hosted by Vanessa James. And so it's an extension of the Café Mocha brand, but it's a quick little catch that you can get all the little news and everything from our perspective, from a woman's perspective and Café Mocha perspective. So, we're growing our brand. It's got to be, I say, we have to be a village. And so part of our village is Vanessa with Café Mocha to Go. And then when we moved into the virtual space with Salute Her, so many people responded and said, well, who else have you honored? And, I want to know more about, how can a person get nominated to be honored? And so what we decided to do was start Soul Sessions. And the Soul Sessions is on Facebook. And it's hosted by one of our past honorees, Cheryl Palat Williamson, who is an amazing speaker. And so she interviews past Salute Her honorees. Because when we were doing events over the last 10 years, people didn't know a lot of our honorees. So this way, we're able to feature some of our past honorees. So that's what the Soul Sessions are. They are conversations from the heart on how women have kind of, forged through life. And their story, everyone has a story, like you said, and their story hopefully will inspire someone else. And then we have our, I love John Murray. We have the Café, we have the Chic Boutique, and that is a show where we feature small businesses, and not just female-owned small businesses, but unique, one-of-a-kind small businesses. Things that you can't, products and services that you can't get in the big stores that you could only get on these, these little boutiques. And so that is we just launched that in November, and that will run straight through next year. And that's hosted by John Merritt. So that's it. We're just creating little vignettes, and that's a 30-minute show where we're featuring small businesses.
Well, my friend, we just turned 21. You're busy. I'm sure, as we all know, it's only going to get busier for you because you're one of those people like me. If it's a great idea, you're going to turn it into a executable idea. And that's the brand of what you've developed with Miles Ahead Entertainment and Broadcasting. Again, thank you for coming on the show. Make sure I get all my social media calls so I can promote your events. I support you in all those different lanes because you're special. And I'm always be a big fan of yours.
Our partnership with the Swag Awards.
Huh?
Can we talk about the Swag Awards?
Oh, well, it wasn't on a piece of paper. I didn't know. I talk about Swag Awards. Stop. That's my show. Come on now.
One thing that you have taught me is collaborations and how important collaborations are to grow your brand. And so I'm proud that we're now going to go into our second year of our collaboration on the Swag Awards. And the Swag Awards is where, we honor men. And it's hosted, of course, with Money Making Conversations, and it's hosted by you. So I just want to thank you for that. And we've got some big ideas that will be coming as we look to grow, our Swag Awards and everything. But thank you for being a mentor. Thank you for all you do to promote small businesses and HBCUs. But we're excited, and thank you, just for hanging in there with us and giving, Café, Mocha, and Miles Ahead Broadcasting and Entertainment, some of the insights that have made you so successful.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I wasn't going to bring up the Swag Award. I'm going to deliver those every week because I love your platform. It comes on in Atlanta, Georgia, on Magic 107.5. I listen to it every Sunday. And so I'm just happy. Yeah, I even run commercials during that time slot to promote my Money Making Conversation platform. So I realize it's relationships, and I respect what you do, and I will continue to deliver the Swag Awards. And as you say, it's a partnership. I send you names. You say, Rashawn, this will work on my platform, don't work on the platform. And I'm fortunately blessed that so many people do my show now, and it gives us a nice options for you to be able to deliver on your platform the type of men age-wise and executable and everyday dads, because we want to promote that as well as celebrities and well-known entrepreneurs. So I appreciate you, and thank you for letting me get my little hype on for your show. Great. Thank you very much, Sheila Eldridge.
Thank you. I was like, wait, we got to get the swag in there.
Well, I didn't see it on the paper. I don't want to push nothing, but believe me, I'm proud. Every week I do it. It's a priority for me and my staff, the Swag Awards, because more and more Black men need to be recognized, and to be recognized on a platform for women of color. That's what's so impressive to me, because the fact that, there's so many misnomers and misstatements about relationships, right, and being that platform and being to say the positive side, and it just becomes a snowball effect. And so, yes, anytime you need me for that, but of course I represent for all your platforms. So thank you very much again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And be careful and be safe down there.
I have to. If you want to hear more Money Making Conversation, if you want to hear more Money Making Conversation interviews, please go to moneymakingconversation.com or subscribe at our YouTube podcast. I'm Rashawn McDonald. I am your host.